Okay, we are recording now, and we have been talking about how Jesus is strong. You can see it on our board. We've been talking about miracles, and tonight we're going to talk about one more miracle. But first, we want to sing some songs. Since we're talking about Jesus' power, let's sing about My God is So Big, because Jesus has the power that God has. So he can do things that nobody else can do. So I'm going to back up just a little bit so you can see my motions. I want to see you doing the motions, even though I can't hear you singing the words. Are you ready? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are his, the valleys are his, the trees are his handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. Good job. Looks like we've got Jason and Sadie coming in. Let me let them in real quick, and then we'll sing another song. All right, they should be joining us. Okay, so we sang My God is So Big. Let's do another song that hadn't done this one in a while, but I know you'll remember it, and it kind of goes with our lesson tonight. So that's why we want to do it. Okay, I need to, where did they go? There they are. Okay, all right, ready? He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got the mommies and the daddies in his hands. He's got the mommies and the daddies in his hands. He's got the mommies and the daddies in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the brothers and the sisters in his hands. He's got the brothers and the sisters in his hands. He's got the brothers and the sisters in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Very good. If we have time at the end, we may sing the Sea of Galilee, but I want to make sure we've got time to do all of our stuff. And then if we have time, we'll sing it at the end. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can do that now so that you'll be able to answer questions. Just remember to be quiet when you're not answering the questions so that everybody can hear. Looks like Heidi is joining us. Let's let Heidi in.
Miss Tanya.
Yes.
Remember that song we've been singing?
About the Sea of Galilee?
Not that song.
Not that one? Which song?
It was the ones where it was where God was sleeping, where he made all the stuff.
The 7 days, that's what she's talking about.
Oh, I don't know if I know that song.
It was
No.
Oh, when God was making the whole world, that's what you're talking about. The 7 days of creation, day one, day one.
Time.
Okay, well, we'll sing that one again sometime, but not tonight because we want to get on with our lesson. But that is a really good song. I like that song a lot. All right. So we have been talking about Jesus's power. That's why we got this big starburst in the middle of our bulletin board with a P on it for power. Because we're talking about how Jesus has power just like God does, and he can do miracles. Now, somebody tell me, what's the difference in a miracle and a magic trick? Just shout out the answer. You don't have to raise your hand.
Magic trick.
A magic trick is something that magicians can do, people can do, but it's a trick. What makes a miracle different than that?
Only God can do it.
Only God can do it. God or Jesus has the power to do it. Yeah, and they're not a trick. It's something that only Jesus or God can do. And so that's what we've been talking about. Who can tell me about the miracle we talked about in this picture? We're reviewing just a little bit. What was going on in that story?
Fred was coming.
He calmed the storm.
Well, he calmed the storm in this picture. But what about this one up here? It looks like they got baskets.
500.
He fed a lot of people, didn't he? With just a little bit of food, he fed a lot of people. That's a miracle. And then, yes, he calmed the storm. All he had to do was say, "Be still." And the wind and waves stopped, just like that. And what about this one? What's he doing in this one?
Walking
on water.
Walking on the water. Can you do that?
No.
No. If I tried to walk on the water, I'd just sink right down inside. But somebody else walked on the water. Who was it?
Jesus.
Jesus did, but who got out of the boat to walk to Jesus?
Peter.
Peter. And did he have a little problem?
Yes, he sings.
He was starting to sink because he forgot to keep his eyes on Jesus. But what did Jesus do?
Reach his hand out.
He reached his hand out and pulled Peter right back up out of the water and said, "Have faith in me because I can take care of
everybody else doing it.
All right, so tonight we're going to talk about a different miracle. And before we get into the story, I want to talk a little bit about families. What makes a family? Who's in a family?
Sisters.
Sisters?
Mommy.
Mommies?
Daddy.
Daddies? Brothers? Yeah, it's the people that live in the house with you. Yeah, sometimes there's little babies. Sometimes there's grandmas and granddads that live with you and are part of your family. And even if they don't live with you, they're still part of your family. So families, let's be quiet. Families do things together a lot of times. Families sometimes do chores together. Remember to be quiet unless you're answering a question. I have been seeing pictures of Ledger's family working on planting a garden, and everybody was helping because families do things together. And another thing, sometimes families go on trips together. We like to go on vacation. Some of you may be going somewhere next week because it'll be spring break.
We may.
The other thing about families is when somebody in your family has something good happen and they're really happy, how does the rest of the family feel? They're going to feel happy too, right? They might be going, "Way to go. I knew you could do that. That is so great," when somebody's happy. But sometimes somebody in your family might be sad, or they might not be feeling real good. And that kind of makes everybody else in the family be a little bit sad sometimes too. And you might say, "I'm so sorry that you're feeling sad." Or you might say, "What can I do to help?" Because that's the way families work. When people are happy, everybody can be happy. And when people are sad, it makes everybody a little sad. God's family works like that too. And when our big group of people that we know from church, when things happen that make people happy, it makes other people happy. And when people are sad, it makes them sad. So the reason I tell you about that is because that goes with our story tonight. It goes with this miracle that Jesus is going to do. We got a couple of more people coming in. Let me let them in. So Remember I told you that when Jesus went from place to place, usually large crowds followed him wherever he was going, and that was happening in tonight's story. Jesus was traveling to a town called Nain. That's kind of a strange name, but that was the name of the town called Nain. And he had his disciples were with him, and a lot of other people were with him, and they were probably all pretty happy. You know, Jesus had been teaching, had been feeding people, had been healing people, doing miracles. They were probably really happy. And they were going towards this town, but as they got close to the town, they met some people coming out of the town traveling, and they were not happy. They were very sad. In fact, one of them was really, really sad because something bad had happened in her family. Now listen carefully.
I know.
Her son, her only son, had died. The Bible doesn't tell us what happened, if he had been sick or if he had an accident. We don't know. But we know it was her only son. And not only that, she was a widow. And what that means is that at some point, her husband had died. So now, if her husband has died and her son, her only son, has died, that leaves her all alone. And she was very, very sad. And the people that were traveling with her, they were actually going out to bury her son, and they were all very sad because she was their friend. And it made them all very sad. And Jesus saw that. And the Bible tells us that Jesus had compassion. Can you say that word with me? Compassion. What that means is that Jesus cared about how she felt. She was sad, and it made Jesus feel sad. And not only that, he wanted to do something to fix it, to make it better. Now, was there anything Jesus could do to make it better?
Yes.
Yes. Why do we know Jesus could make it better? Because he had power. He could do miracles, and that's exactly what he did. He walked up to the lady, and he said, "Don't cry." She was crying a lot. She was very, very sad. He said, "Don't cry. It's going to be fine." And then he walked up to the people that were carrying the casket, the box that her son's body was in, and he made them stop. And he reached out and he touched the box, and he said, "Young man, get up." And you know what happened?
He got up.
He got up, but he had died. How could he get up if he was dead? A miracle. Jesus did a miracle. Jesus had so much power that not only could he make the food big, and not only could he stop the storm, he could make somebody who had died be alive again. Now, how do you think that lady felt then, after her son was brought back to life?
Happy.
Happy, yes. She wasn't sad anymore. I imagine she was very excited. And the people that were with her were very excited. And it was because Jesus had compassion. He wanted to make her feel better. He knew how she was feeling, and he wanted to change that and make it better. But here's the cool thing, too, about this story. The Bible tells us that all the people that saw this happen, all the people that were traveling with Jesus and all the people that were with the lady, they were so excited that they wanted to tell everybody about what happened. They didn't just go home and be quiet about it. They wanted to tell everybody about it. So what happened was the good news about Jesus was spread to a lot more people because they saw Jesus do this miracle. So it not only made the lady much happier, but it made all the people very excited to talk about Jesus. So we're going to take our picture. Here's our picture for this week with our little boy. We don't know how old he was. He may be almost grown. And his mom and Jesus. And do they look happy in that picture or sad?
Happy.
Happy, yes, because that is after Jesus had done the miracle and made him alive again. I'm going to put that right there on our bulletin board.
Why does Jesus wear white?
Why does Jesus wear? Well, that's just the way they always make him in pictures. I don't know if he really wore white or not. But most of the time when we see pictures of Jesus, it'll show him with white and with a blue sash on. We really don't know what color Jesus's clothes were. The Bible doesn't tell us that, and it's really not important. So, and we don't have any pictures. They didn't have cell phones back then where they could just take a picture and let us see what Jesus looked like and what his clothes looked like. In fact, probably a lot of the pictures that we see of Jesus might not really look like him at all because we don't know exactly what he looked like. But we know that he had power. And we know that he loved people and he had compassion on people that were hurting. Okay, let's talk about, let's do your Bible verse. It's the same one we've been doing for a while. Can anybody say it without me helping you? Zach's got his hand up. Zach, can you say it without me helping you?
I don't know what I was going to say. I was just saying.
What?
I was going to say question.
Oh, you've got a question. What's your question?
My question is that when Jesus made one of the powers, one time, the only person he doesn't love is the guy who tricked him, the snake who tricked the person who was on naked to eat the bad apples in the garden. And when the angels had to come down to the first store to get them clothes,
I see.
never had to go back to the garden again.
Yeah, that was way back a long time ago. We talked about that being
not like that guy, none at all.
Not at all. We talked about that being the big disaster when they made bad choices, but Jesus came to fix that big disaster. We're going to keep talking about that. Pretty soon I'll probably have that big disaster back up on our bulletin board. So let's do our Bible verse. It's a really good one. We've been learning it a lot. And I'll say it and then you can say it after me, okay? I am the way,
I am the way,
the truth,
I am the truth,
and the life. Somebody's getting ahead of me. No one comes to the Father except through me.
Except through me.
Very good. You guys have got that verse down. All right. Let's talk about what's in your bags tonight for your activity. Here is your worksheet. And that looks kind of crazy. But if you follow the directions, it says to color all the squares, the ones that look like this. And it will lead you through to know what to do when you need help. That might be help from your family. That might be help from God. That is what that is tonight. So if you want to color the other things too, but make sure you color all those squares the same color so you can find your path through that maze. There's some scary looking stuff on there too. Things that might make you a little afraid. And we want to make sure that we've got somebody to help us. Okay, so your craft tonight, you should have a round page that looks like this. I've already colored mine. And there's pictures on there about ways to tell about Jesus. Because remember, we talked about in our story that all the people wanted to go and tell other people what had happened. They wanted to tell the good news about Jesus. And you got a paper clip and you can fasten it on there. It doesn't work very well when I'm holding it up, but it'll spin around. And wherever it stops, you can tell mom or dad or brother or sister how you could use that to tell about Jesus. This is a telephone. You guys may not know what telephones like that look like very much because everybody uses cell phones now, but that's kind of an old-fashioned telephone. You can write letters or notes to cheer people up and tell them about Jesus. Who can tell me what this is?
World.
The world, yes. And we want to tell people all over the world about Jesus. And we'll talk about that a little more. There's something special about this world, though. Does anybody know what it might be? Move that out of the way. See that little thing right there? Anybody know what that world might be?
No.
The corn.
It's like a bank. It's like a bank where you can put your money inside.
It's the earth.
It's the earth, but I think it's made like a bank. So if you saved your money, you could help give that money to church. And some of those money that goes to church, especially the peak money, goes to help people all over the world and tell them about Jesus. And then the last picture, what does this look like?
People talking to each other.
People talking to each other. That's right. So you can just talk to your friends and you can tell them about the wonderful things Jesus did. You can tell them about the miracles that we've been talking about. They may not know about those. And then the last thing in your thing tonight is a little package for your snack. And inside that package are some... I can get mine open, some little fruit snacks, but there's something special about these. Now, if your mom told me that you had an allergy that might be a problem for these, you're going to have something a little bit different. Can anybody see what's on that? It's got something, a face. What kind of face is that?
Smiley.
A smiley face. That's right. Why do you think we might be having smiley face snacks tonight?
To make people feel good about it.
Yeah, because the woman was so happy after Jesus raised her son. So she probably had a big smile on her face. So we have smiley snacks tonight. Unless your mom told me you had an allergy to it, and then you got something a little bit different. Okay, I think
I was just laughing that.
that's about everything I've got. We will not have class next week because it'll be spring break. So if you try to log on and find the Zoom class for next week, it will not be here. But then we'll be back the week after that. And you can see it then, and you can be back with us then. I'm really glad with everybody that's here tonight. I tell you what, we are going to count to 3 and say goodbye to the boys and girls that might be watching online. And then I will turn off the recording. And if you guys want to sing the Sea of Galilee, we'll do it then, okay? So let me get my finger on the right spot. Here we go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye. See you next time.
Bye.